I grew up in a small town in Ohio, where my family had what looked like the perfect life. My dad, Robert, worked as a manager at a manufacturing company, and my mom, Diane, stayed home to raise me and my younger sister, Emily. From the outside, we looked like the type of family that had it all together. We had Sunday dinners, vacations to Florida, and a cozy home where everyone thought laughter lived in every room. But as I got older, I learned that appearances can be deceiving, and my dad's affair changed everything I thought I knew about family, love, and trust. It all began the summer before my senior year of high school. I was 17, eager to get my driver's license, preparing for college applications, and dreaming of life beyond my hometown. Dad started working late more often, which Mom explained away as things being busy at work. He used to be home in time for dinner almost every night, but now, some evenings he wouldn't get in until well after Emily had gone to bed. I noticed Mom sitting alone at the kitchen table, staring at the clock with her coffee mug cooling in her hands. One Friday night, I overheard my parents talking in the living room. I had come downstairs to grab a snack, but their voices stopped me in my tracks. Mom's tone was sharp, filled with suspicion, while Dad's voice carried that defensive edge I had only heard when they argued about money. "Robert, you've been coming home late almost every night," Mom said. "Don't tell me it's just work. I called your office yesterday. They said you left at 5. There was a long silence, then Dad muttered, "Diane, I can explain, but not like this. Let's not do this in front of the kids." I froze in the dark hallway, my heart pounding. I wasn't supposed to hear that, but I couldn't move. Mom's voice broke, softer now. "Are you seeing someone?" Dad didn't answer right away. That silence told me more than words ever could. In the days that followed, things around the house shifted. Dad avoided eye contact. Mom stayed quiet, moving through her routines with a forced calmness, but her eyes were red from crying. Emily was too young to notice, but I was old enough to feel the cracks widening in our family's foundation. I told myself maybe it was just stress, maybe Mom had misunderstood. But deep down, I knew the truth. One night, unable to take the tension anymore, I followed Dad. When he said he had to stay late at work, I grabbed my car keys and trailed his truck a few streets over. He didn't drive toward his office. Instead, he pulled into a neighborhood I'd never been in before, parking outside a small white house with a swing on the porch. A woman stepped outside to greet him. She had dark hair, a bright smile, and she hugged him like they'd known each other forever. My stomach dropped as I watched my dad kiss her before they walked inside together. I sat in my car for what felt like hours, shaking, trying to process what I had just seen. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't just stress from work. My dad was having an affair. I didn't tell anyone right away. I didn't know how to. I felt like I was carrying this massive secret that didn't belong to me, but weighed me down all the same. At dinner, I watched my mom laugh at one of Emily's silly stories, forcing herself to smile, even though the pain lingered in her eyes. I wanted to scream, to tell her everything, but I couldn't bring myself to destroy her world when I wasn't even sure how to handle my own feelings. Eventually, though, I couldn't keep it in any longer. A week later, I found Mom sitting alone in the living room, staring blankly at the TV. My throat tightened as I sat down beside her. "Mom," I whispered, my voice trembling. "I know about Dad." Her head snapped toward me, her eyes widening. "What do you mean, honey?" I followed him. He's seeing someone else." The words spilled out, and once they did, I couldn't stop crying. Mom's face crumbled. She didn't yell or scream. Instead, she pulled me into her arms and held me tight. "I was afraid of that," she whispered. "I just didn't want it to be true." From that night on, everything changed. Mom confronted Dad, and their fight shook the walls of our house. I could hear every word from upstairs. Dad admitted to the affair, said it had been going on for months, and that he didn't mean for it to happen. Mom's sobs echoed through the night as he tried to explain himself, but nothing he said could erase the betrayal. The weeks that followed were some of the hardest of my life. Dad moved into a small apartment across town. He tried to come around, to take us out to dinner, to act like nothing had changed, but everything had. Mom couldn't even look at him without breaking down, and I couldn't forgive him no matter how much he apologized. Emily didn't understand at first. She just wanted her dad back home. I found myself caught between wanting to protect her innocence and the crushing weight of the truth. What hurt the most was realizing the man I had looked up to, the one I thought would never let us down, had chosen someone else over our family. The affair wasn't just between him and that woman. It was between him and all of us. It shattered the trust we had, and trust isn't something you can just glue back together. But as painful as it was, that experience also changed me. I learned to see people for who they truly are, not who they pretend to be. I learned how strong my mom was, watching her pick herself up after heartbreak and start working again to support us. I learned how to comfort my little sister when she cried at night, missing Dad's bedtime stories. And I learned that sometimes the people you love the most can hurt you the deepest, but you don't have to let their choices define your future. By the time I left for college, my parents had divorced. Dad was still in my life, but in a different way. Holidays were split, visits felt awkward, and the bond we once had never fully returned. Mom grew into her independence, and I admired her resilience more than anyone else. Looking back now, as an adult, I realized my dad's affair didn't just change my family, it changed me. It forced me to grow up faster than I wanted to see the world with clearer, sometimes harsher eyes. But it also gave me perspective. I know what betrayal looks like, but I also know what strength looks like. I know what it means to rebuild after something shatters. My dad's choices may have broken the image of the perfect family, but they also taught me lessons I carry to this day. That love should never come at the expense of honesty. That trust, once broken, is almost impossible to regain. And that no matter how dark things get, you can find your way forward, sometimes stronger than before.